Baal was the most brash and reckless of the primevals. After the Dark Exile, he was contained in the Horadrim Talrasha and entombed. Centuries later, Diablo freed Baal, who then corrupted the Worldstone, to devastating effect for the barbarians who lived near Mount Arreat. The heroes killed Baal shortly afterward. Every home built, every flower grown, and every child born merely whets destruction's appetite. Anonymous. As with all the great evils, Baal spawned from one of the 7 heads of the great dragon Tahamet. His domain in the burning hells was the realm of destruction. He, Diablo, and Mephisto were the 3 prime evils, and from the outset warred amongst each other to maintain dominion and rule over the legions of the burning hells. Baal's early existence was much like that of his fellow brothers, an endless battle with the forces of heaven. He never got tired of it, partly because he never exhausted all the opportunities for wanton destruction. One rare exception where Baal worked with his brothers was the 5th battle of the Diamond Gates. So certain of their impending victory, the primevals turned on each other, battling over spoils they had yet to win. Their discord allowed the forces of heaven to drive them back. The Sin War. Enough of your idle speculation, Mephisto. I breached the fortress and saw it firsthand. The Worldstone is gone. The angels I killed knew nothing about it. But since you are so perceptive, maybe you remember who else has been missing. Lilith. We must find her, rip her limb from limb, and take the Worldstone back. Baal. While leading his forces on the battlefields of Pandemonium, Mephisto noticed that the angels were withdrawing. He ordered his forces to withdraw so he could analyze the situation. Baal, losing patience, stormed the Pandemonium fortress and discovered that the Worldstone was missing. The angels he killed could not enlighten him to its whereabouts. However, Baal did have his suspicions and pointed out to Mephisto that Lilith was missing. Believing her to be responsible for the Worldstone's disappearance, he demanded that they find her, kill her, and take the Worldstone back. Due to the actions of the Viziere, the powers of hell came to learn of the existence of Sanctuary and its inhabitants. Diablo informed his brothers of this new world's existence, sensing the dormant power within humanity and reasoning it could be turned to suit their own ends. The primevals began a campaign to tip humanity over to their side. To this end, they founded the Triune, a seemingly benevolent religion that was actually a front for their true motives. Each of the primes took on an alter ego for worship, and in Baal's case, he was known as Bala, the spirit of creation, represented by a leaf in Triune iconography. Bala was depicted as wielding a hammer when he himself was portrayed, along with the bag, which the Triune's priest preached contained the seeds of all life. Both nature and the architectural triumphs of humanity were said to be under the auspice of his spirit. The Triune's efforts to ensnare humanity were hindered by the rogue angel Inarius, however, who founded the Cathedral of Light. Thus began the Sin War. In the end, the conflict ended with both heaven and hell agreeing to respect Sanctuary's neutrality in the great conflict. After the war, the followers of Inarius were gifted to Baal. The Dark Exile. What is the strength of man against hell itself? Baal to the Horadrim. Baal and his brothers had kept Sanctuary's existence a secret from the lesser evils, and that had driven a wedge between them. That they continued to be interested in man's potential after the Sin War did not sit well also, and the lesser evils rose up in rebellion. Baal and his brothers were banished into Sanctuary in what became known as the Dark Exile. In truth, this was a plan on the Prime's part to corrupt the Worldstone and corrupt humanity. While Baal and his brothers were free to wreak havoc for a few decades, their presence came to be discovered by the Archangel Tyrael, who formed the Horadrim to find and capture the 3 brothers. The banishment of the prime evils from hell to the mortal plane also left them incorporeal. In order to acquire a physical form, they required a body for their spirit to possess. Over time, their demonic presence twisted the victims' human flesh into grotesque simulacrums of their physical form. In time, both Baal and Diablo journeyed west across the twin seas to the deserts of Aranok. Aware of the pursuing Horadrim, Baal took refuge in the city of Lut Gohain, while the Horadrim patiently waited. After 3 days, Baal fled north. the Horadrim in close pursuit. Baal had hoped that the harsh wasteland would deter the Horadrim, but the mortals kept up their pursuit. In the end, Baal stood his ground, directing his powers of destruction against the Horadrim, summoning a force of demons to engage them. However, they would not be swayed. Baal ended up facing Tal Rasha in single combat before Horadrim led by Zoltun Kull arrived, aiding Tal Rasha and incapacitating the Lord of Destruction. The two used a soul stone against him, intent on sealing his essence inside it, but Baal was able to shatter it before escaping through a portal into the valley below. Tal Rasha teleported after him, while Kull led the Horadrim through Baal's forces, finally arriving to aid Tal Rasha. In a battle as vicious as the last, the Horadrim battled Baal before incapacitating him and sealing him inside the soul stone fragment. However, the Shard would not be able to hold Baal for long. Thanks to Tal Rasha, a surrogate soulstone would be created. Heading underground into the burial chambers of long-dead kings, the Horadrim built a binding stone etched with runes of containment in one of the largest tombs. Tal Rasha ordered his brethren to contain him, upon which a sorrowful Tyrael jammed the broken soulstone into his chest, sealing his fate and transferring Baal's essence into his body. The Horadrim departed, leaving Tal Rasha to wrestle with Baal's spirit, presumably for all of eternity. The corruption of Tal Rasha. You cannot fool me with your illusions, demon. And yet I have fooled you with the same illusions time and time again, mage. Each time it takes you a little longer to understand that it is an illusion. Your mind is crumbling, and soon it shall be reduced to ash, and I will be free. Tal Rasha and Baal. Tal Rasha's physical form began to wither away as hunger and thirst took their toll. He was left a hair's breadth shy of death, and his deteriorating body was no longer entirely his. Baal, controlling Tal Rasha's body, struggled to escape, but could not break free of the bonds. To break Tal Rasha's mind, Baal kept showing him the moment where he and Kull had bound him to the soulstone fragment, but subtly reworked it, introducing shades of doubt and fear to make Tal Rasha doubt himself. Always Tal Rasha saw through the illusion, but each time it took him a little longer to realize that it was falsehood. In Tal Rasha's mind, Baal mocked him, telling Tal Rasha that his mind was crumbling and that eventually it would be reduced to ashes, and the Lord of Destruction freed. Over the centuries, the Soulstone became infused with Baal's destructive essence. The release of destruction. I have walked the earth, always searching for that which will make me whole. High in the mountains of Kehuran, deep within the Mount Arreat lies that thing. I shall have it. My brothers will not have died in vain, and I shall rule unchallenged. Baal. Centuries after his imprisonment, Baal was released at the hands of Diablo in the guise of the Dark Wanderer and Marius. While the Archangel Tyrael kept the Wanderer at bay, Baal was able to dupe Marius into freeing him. Baal joined his brother and Tyrael was captured. Unfortunately for Baal, Marius had escaped with his soul stone. With the Lord of Destruction and Terror wearing the guise of the Dark Wanderer and Tal Rasha respectively, the brothers arrived in the Temple of Light in Kurast, where they reunited with Mephisto. In the depths of the temple, they planned their stratagem. Baal would travel north to corrupt the Worldstone. Through it, humanity and its Nephilim birthright would fall into enslavement, and through their Nephilim birthright would be enough to re-establish the Prime's place in Hell. However, to fulfill his role, Baal had to reobtain his Soul Stone. Deckard Cain would later theorize that as the Soul Stone had been infused with his destructive essence over the centuries, it would be vital to corrupting the Worldstone. Destruction unleashed. Baal comes, and destruction follows him like a storm. Kalaldra's last words. Baal tracked down Marius in a sanctuarium in Westmarch, disguising himself as Tyrael, where the man told his tale of the journey he had taken with the Dark Wanderer. Marius recounted his experiences and handed the Soulstone over. Baal revealed his true colors and slew the man, setting the sanatorium ablaze as he exited. Now possessing the shard, Baal traveled north, butchering entire villages en route to Mount Arreat. Those who were slain were possessed and transformed into demonic soldiers. Every act of destruction committed by Baal and his minions increased the shard's power. Thus, rather than approach Mount Arreat through stealth, Baal's approach meant that the Soul Stone, now named the Shard of Destruction, pulsed with untold corruptive energies. Additionally, he summoned a legion of demons to his side that revealed in destruction and chaos. Baal swore that his brothers would not have died in vain, and that he would rule unchallenged. Assault on Mount Arreat. Baal is true to his namesake. He has ravaged through our lands like a merciless plague. Qualkech. By the time Baal reached the lands of the barbarians, his army of destruction numbered in the thousands. By all accounts, the barbarians fought ferociously, yet it was not enough to stop Baal from storming their lands. Reaching the gates of Secheron, the barbarians attempted a parley with the demons, but Baal casually killed the emissary and ordered his forces to attack. What were they expecting trying to parley with demons? That makes no sense. The few survivors of the assault later described Baal as being atop his litter, surveying the city with ravenous malice and an insatiable lust for destruction. Soon all that stood between Baal and the Arreat summit was Aragoth. To starve off Baal's assault, the Council of Elders sacrificed themselves to enact a warding spell to keep Baal's forces at bay. Nonetheless, Baal's forces laid siege to the fortress. The defenders were betrayed by the elder Nihaltalk, the only survivor of the spell. Believing his people would be doomed unless he negotiated a pact with Baal, he provided the Lord of Destruction with the Relic of the Ancients in exchange for sparing Harrogath. With the relic in hand, Baal raced up the slopes of the mountain, able to bypass the mountain's guardians thanks to the relic. In the Worldstone chamber, Baal fused the Shard of Destruction with the Worldstone. All of the strife and horror that had accumulated within the shard began to spread through the gargantuan crystal. Yet Baal's plans were stemmed by a group of heroes, the same group that had defeated his brothers. After a ferocious battle, Baal was defeated, yet the Worldstone was already past saving. To save humanity, Tyrael threw Eldrin into the stone, destroying it. In the ensuing explosion, Baal's body was obliterated, and in the belief of Dark Exile, his spirit banished the Black Abyss to join his brothers. The shards of the Worldstone remained corrupted, and 5 years later would bring even more misery to the world. Destruction's wake. Futility. The more you cling to, the more I can destroy. Baal to Tyrael upon fully reforming within the purified shard. With his soul stone fused to the Worldstone itself became a soul stone for Baal. With his death, his soul was sealed within the Worldstone. He battled Tyrael, who was also trapped in the Worldstone, in a shattered realm, which reflected the state of the Worldstone as the angel struggled to keep him sealed. As Baal's soul began to reform, he started to overpower his foe. When the Cult of Terror tried to purge a shard of the Worldstone from Baal's taint at the Ancient's cradle, they inadvertently opened a way for both Baal and Tyrael, whose souls lingered in the fragment of the Worldstone. The angel tried to keep him bound, but was swiftly overpowered. Baal was defeated by the Shard Seeker shortly after he escaped from the shard. At some point after the event, demons loyal to Baal gathered in a vile attempt to resurrect their master. Years later, both Mephisto and Baal, combined to the Black Soul Stone, would be used by Diablo to become the prime evil. But after Diablo's defeat and the destruction of the Black Soul Stone thanks to Matteo and his stupid decisions, Diablo would be freed, and so would the other prime evils, or the other evils that lived within him, and so Baal was once more free into the world. Baal is considered the most reckless and brash of the prime evils. Baal reveals in utter annihilation, not only of the world around him, but of those who dwell in it. This is regardless as to whether he incites or inspires such destruction. On the surface, Baal appears to be the most base and easiest to comprehend of the prime evils, and many have claimed as such. Deckard Cain wrote in opposition to this, maintaining that Baal is just as cunning and nefarious as his siblings, quite capable of using strategy and deception to further his goals. Adria once speculated what might happen if Baal succeeded in reducing heaven and sanctuary to ash. Would he destroy hell likewise? Would he destroy himself? Or was he clever enough to ensure that such a thing never came to pass, embracing defeat, death, and rebirth, lest his cycle of annihilation be jeopardized? Baal has shown a sadistic side in the murder of his foes. He frequently indulged in feasts of human flesh and blood with his brothers. Creatures would feed off of the remnants of such feasts. Those who follow Baal prefer to surround their enemies and attack from all sides simultaneously, and are bred for strength and agility. They seek the undoing of creation, striving for disorder and destruction. To Baal's minions, order is anathema, and his lieutenants are bred for strength, endurance, and cunning, constantly training themselves in the art of war. Many of Baal's demons are intangible on the mortal plane. Like his brothers, Baal by his nature is confrontational. It is his desire that the eternal conflict be fought forever, and his vision for Sanctuary was to be a wasteland stained with blood. And since it's the end, of course, I have to say, please like, comment, and subscribe, because it helps the channel grow. Thank you.